Third time's a charm. That's what they say down at the shop. That's what they call me, right? 3-time Burnside. Yep, that's it. You're listening to the world famous White Roof Radio, Woofcast number 684, recorded on Cinco de Mayo 2022, and we're still listener supported. Hey everybody, it's Stevie in Arizona with a brand new episode of the world famous White Roof Radio. Appreciate you guys letting us take some time off so I could do stuff and things. It was great. It was fantastic. Listen to Black Roof to get a full update on what happened. It was a lot of fun, but we're not talking about any of that here. We're going to talk about Mini Cooper stuff. Got a full crew tonight. Our good friend, of course, Mr. Todd Pearson from motoringstripes.com is here. Todd, say hi.
I'm here. Sorry, I was under my desk.
You know, I just don't even want to know. The good reverend's here as well, Mr. Chad Miller from Detroit Tune, DetroitTune.com.
How you doing? And I'm above the desk, but I do want to know.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's
I dropped something. So
yeah, okay. Don't make me use the beep again. And we're joined this week by Mr. Gabe Bridger.
Hello.
See? So full crew. It's going to be a good time. We have a lot of Mini Cooper stuff to talk about tonight, and I think we should probably just get right to it. I don't know. Do you guys have? We don't need to talk about the weather because I'm in Arizona. The weather's perfect, and I don't think anybody really cares.
I was in Arizona. The weather was perfect.
Yeah. See, wasn't it? That's what I'm saying. There, and with that, we talked about the weather. The weather.
It was very nice.
It was. Yeah, well, we got lucky. But let's not talk about that. Let's click over to motoringfall.com. A lot of stuff happened in the last couple of weeks. A lot of stuff happened. And I want to kind of roll all the way back to Gabe, and I want him to tell us how cool is it going to be to go back to the Nürburgring.
Wait, what? What am I doing?
I know. You're going back to the Nürburgring.
Is it true?
I don't know. It's on Motoring File. It must be true.
Well, that's right.
A Motoring File post to Facebook, which makes it like double true. He says with a giant eye roll.
So yeah. So right. So let's back up for a second. So Mini is going. Let's keep Motoring File out of it and myself for a second. Mini is going back to the Nürburgring. Mini, after 10 years, is sort of officially going back to the Nürburgring 24 hours, to be very specific. So the 24-hour race of the Nürburgring is the most, it's like a cross between Burning Man and like 24 Hours of Le Mans. It is absolutely wild. And, as most racetracks are like
for the perfect lap or shooting for the perfect mushroom. Got it.
So most racetracks are like about, anywhere from like 3-4 miles long, more like 2.5 to 3. The Nürburgring is 17 miles long.
Yeah. It's actually a highway in Germany. It's a anybody can drive it.
There's over 150 turns. And the last time I was at the ring, a helicopter landed on the track, I think twice, maybe 3 times, to carry people to the hospital. So that's what kind of track it is. Imagine racing there overnight, through the night. And if you don't know the area, this track goes around 3 towns, 3 villages, a mountain, and a castle. It is a part of Germany that you're not totally surprised to see snow in June. And that's exactly what you get at the race. You get sunshine, you get rain, you get hail, you get snow, you get sunshine again. It's just wild. And to win the Nürburgring is, obviously something that is beyond most people's expectations and dreams. Just to finish is what most people are aiming for. And so Mini is heading back. Of course, there's multiple classes. A lot of these races, of course, have like 40, 50 cars. The Nürburgring has 170 plus. So an enormous variety of cars, classes, etc. Mini will be in a, class that is, sort of relevant to the type of car it is. But they're not just bringing a standard like Cooper S race car or JCW race car. They're bringing the first ever JCW GP race car, which is also insanely cool. So this is a
I'm looking at the pictures.
6 horsepower front wheel drive race car. It is basically they took a body in white, which is just sort of the standard sort of chassis of the GP, and created a bespoke roll cage. They kept the, believe it or not, automatic transmission. It's a straight up ZF because that's the only thing that can handle the torque that they have available.
Right.
It's also a quick. I mean, you've driven a GP. Have you driven a GP? It's an exceptionally quick transmission.
Yeah.
It's also kind of bulletproof. So they've got a bespoke roll cage. They've got a 100-liter fuel tank. They've got an insane aero
package. I'm looking at pictures, and I'm going to make this the picture for the show this week. Is just the side shot from the track in France from the testing, and the aero package on this car is insane.
You know, a lot of people are doing this thing on Instagram where they like put like their fast food meal in the back of their wing on their Porsche. Yeah. A family of 6 could eat off this wing.
Dude, you could get a 10-handed game of canasta going on the wing on this thing.
I mean, little kids could put a swing on the bottom and just have a great time for hours. The thing is insane. So not only that, but the diffuser, front, back. I mean, the whole thing's insane. It is cool. I mean, from my perspective, I see this thing, and I got the pre-release, and I was like, I just want to tell everybody about it because I could not wait, because it's so cool to see Mini look at this and say, all right, you know what? What if we turned everything up to 12? You know, like what if we made this as radical as possible to get the most aero out of this thing? This is going to be one of our last moments as a manufacturer of an internal combustion engine car to just go nuts. Let's do it. And that's what they did. And God bless them. It looks insane. I love it. So they're going back to the 24 Hours of Nürburgring, and that's cool, right?
Yeah.
It's also insanely cool, and this is of course very self-serving, that they invited Motoring File and this is where like I have to like shamelessly plug the site. The largest and most important mini news site in the world are like, you should come, and that's great and humbling and amazing. And so I'm going to go over there embedded with the team, stay up all night and watch a race through the forest and probably burn things or something.
Right. Mushrooms. I don't know. Something.
I don't know about that, but my point is, like, this is an incredible opportunity, not only for Mini to go to a race that they had raced in for many years in the past, especially with the R53, a little bit with the R56 as well. That's pretty much when they stopped the program. So this is the first time the F56 will be in this race, which is also pretty cool. And being able to be embedded with the team and see the preparations, talk to the drivers, see this car, maybe even sit in this car, get a feel for it, understand what they have in front of them, talk to them, perhaps during the race, after the race. It's going to be pretty amazing. As somebody who's been to the Nürburgring before but never at this race, I mean, this is a bucket list thing. I mean,
oh, nice.
For me, there's no race, and I mean this, and I'm not saying this just because I was just invited. I've said this for years. There's no race in the world that I would rather go to than the 24 Hours Nürburgring.
Nice.
So it is an exceptional opportunity, and it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a great. When is this happening, Gabe?
It's essentially a week-long celebration, if you will. Yeah. It is starting. The setup begins the week, essentially the 23rd. And when I say setup, I mean people who camp will get there on Monday when they open the gates and carve out their spot. These people, I mean, they're Germans. They bring lawnmowers to mow the section they're in. They build essentially cities. Like it's wild.
Got it.
I've been watching a lot of YouTube around this race. I mean, my favorite is like this guy who basically pipes in heat from the fire to heat like his drinking or his like bath water or something in his cabin that he builds for the week.
Good grief.
Oh,
anyway,
very cool.
The race starts the 28th, which is a Saturday of May, and of course goes overnight into the 29th of Sunday.
Very cool. Yeah. And so this is literally a factory car. Then they got Bulldog Racing involved to kind of make it more race car, less street car.
Well, so Mini doesn't. So Mini, they don't actually race per se. I mean,
sure,
being a race team is a very different business than being a car manufacturer. And so they went out and they talked to a race team that does this all the time. They're like, hey, how would you like to do this? They're like, absolutely. Okay, great. So we've got an idea. We'll give you a body in white. You guys build this car up. We're going to design it. We're going to work together. You guys run it, which is something we don't do. And let's go win this thing.
Got it. Okay, very cool. There it is. So that'll be fun. And Motoring File will be there at the end of the month. So you have to make sure you follow Motoring File on Insta and any place else that Gabe tells you where he's going to post up, but probably going to be best to follow on Instagram. Make sure you're following Motoring File at Motoring File on Instagram and Twitter, just to make sure you do not miss any of it.
Yes. Instagram,
probably YouTube.
Instagram. There's going to be YouTube eventually, and Motoring File. I mean, a lot of this is going to go like probably live on Motoring File as much as possible, but TBD on all of it. I'm still, and love to hear suggestions on what people want to see. I mean, this is the first time I've been to this race, and this is a great opportunity for me to bring you what I see. So I honestly look at this as a way for me just to like give people a view into this race and give people a view into what this team's doing. So you tell me in the comments or wherever what you want to see and how you want to see it.
There you go. Done and done. Sweet. I'm pretty excited. We'll come up here, do some things on the back end too, see if we can make it a little bit easier for you, which will be a lot of fun. What's next, Gabe? We have a lot of news to cover. So what was going to be the next one? We could talk about the more supply chain issues, I guess.
Well, we should talk about that in a second. That's a big one. I do want to mention that MTTS is now on.
Yeah. For those of you who are not paying attention on the internet, because they're posting that it's happening in 2 months.
It's on. I will be at the first weekend, the first portion of it, personally in Burlington, Vermont, which is,
nice.
Which is super exciting. It's good. Of course, we've talked about this before. It's an East Coast thing this year. It's going to be cool. I mean, it's a little bit scaled back. It's not the crazy MTTS of old, but it looks cool from a driver's perspective. Should be great. And so check it out. Get your tickets bought and get your plans made if you want to go. Now's the time to do it.
Yeah, and make sure you go over to motoringstripes.com and get your MTTS swag.
Yeah, and I have one more topic before we get to that supply chain issue. I am about 2 weeks away. No, that's not true. About 3 weeks away from saying goodbye to what has now become an old friend of mine. A sweet old friend. My 2021 JCW Countryman.
Aww. Wah, 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 wah.
We'll be going away. It's I've eclipsed 15,000 miles on it at this point. We are going to be getting another press car, which is wonderful that many can provide that for a Motoring File. It's still TBD. This car has been in our hands for a while. It needs to go home, so it's going home, and it's gonna be sad to see it go. I mean, we've talked a lot about this. Todd, you now have one of these cars. I love this car. It is in my mind it's not a Clubman, so it's amazing, but I'm still gonna always want a Clubman just because I like to be lower to the ground, and I'm an idiot that way. But if you want the ultimate,
come drive mine, Gabe, and you'll be lower to the ground than the Clubman.
There you go.
Yeah, you got that tall ceiling though. You got that tall shit. You want a wagon. But if you want more utility, you want the hatch, which is better. It's just better than the barn doors. I love the barn doors stylistically, but the hatch makes more sense. The way the seats fold, everything. Yeah. Clubman is great, but the Countryman's for 95% of people out there. JCW model is a game changer for this car. It needs 306 horsepower. It's fast. Todd, you can speak to this. It's fast.
It's ridiculously fast. I mean, I had a guy in a Ford Raptor, the F-150 Raptor, try and race me at a stoplight, and it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. I toasted him. Like, I don't know if he wasn't expecting it or it's the all-wheel drive or what, but it was like, where did he go?
I will say, make sure you go into Sport Plus and start in first gear. That's one thing that, anytime you're in an automatic, you really have to take control. But
can I say, Gabe, the thing that I learned on this, on the 300 horsepower JCW Countryman, is that the accelerator has two positions. the complete wide open throttle, if you press all the way down and you press a little bit farther, you'll feel a click and it'll go more. And so that's what you need for a massive takeoff.
Well, so that's actually what that is that is a classic BMW thing they've had since the 80s. And what that does is it signals essentially the software that, like it used to be a very like simple ECU to say you want to kick down. And so what that's intended to do when you're going to 30 is you hit that and it goes from like fourth to third. So that's actually that. Yeah. If anybody has like a BMW from like late 80s to today, really, they all have that, that little indent, which is a cool little move.
Yeah. And I love the instructions tell you that the launch mode in this JCW is to go into sport mode, to crank it over into the double sport or sport manual, if you will.
Pop it over to the left.
Yep, pop it over and turn the dynamic stability control. Click that switch to turn on the dynamic traction, DTC.
Yep.
So it turns that on. Then put your foot firmly on the brake and press. And also, while holding on the brake, press the pedal all the way down until you get past that and you hit that second click. And you press it down, and then you've only got a couple of seconds to do it. Let go of the brake, and you'll be in launch mode. And you're supposed to get the fastest launch out of this. So, nice. And it's pretty ridiculously G-force. And I've been in a Tesla before doing that, and it's a similar feeling. There's that much force in the JCW Countryman where it throws you back, and it's like if your head isn't like firmly planted in the seat, it's gonna snap it a little bit.
Yeah, it's quick. I think that the mid range is really over 330 horsepower or pound of torque. I mean, it's 3,500 pounds. I mean,
it's moving a lot of car.
It's not light. I think the torque is what you feel. The shifting, the 8-speed, Ace and automatic is quick. And you can read all about it on Motoring File because I go back on the Clubman. I know you're tired of hearing this, but like the Clubman is about a half second faster because it's just a fair amount less weight.
Just a tick.
But it is, but the Countryman you don't expect. I think that's the thing that people are always surprised about. Kind of to your point earlier, like you're not expecting this little SUV, this mini SUV.
Yep, it's a sleeper.
That's a Countryman. Or Clubman, I'm sorry, with big wheels, and it's kind of like you sort of something's going on there. Whereas the Clubman may look the part, the Countryman is like totally a sleeper.
Yep, too much fun. But can't wait to see what you end up with next, Gabe.
Should be fun.
It's gonna be really. I'm just gonna be sad to see it go because it's been. I mean, again, I go back to why people love this car. Like you can throw anything at it, like a road trip.
Ladders,
ladders, like a Home Depot trip, like
electric bicycles,
dogs,
put a receiver hitch on it,
anything. Like it just will just eat it up, totally fine, quiet, lovely on the highway.
And by the way, speaking of bicycles, DB, Mini just came out with new accessories for the Countryman, and it's for the launch of the special editions of the Countryman. But they have a bike rack that goes on the back of the Countryman now that'll hold two bicycles.
Like, is it like a receiver hitch bike rack, or is it just get mounted? Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, those are super cool.
So you can pop like a bolt and the whole thing comes off, slides off.
Yeah, Kelly's car has that. It's really cool.
So anyway, RIP
to
the Motoring File JCW Countryman.
That's really sad. We're still working on, just because we're talking about new cars, is we're trying really, really hard to make the next car in our garage an electric car. And obviously, for reasons, I'm pushing hard to make that electric car to be a Mini Cooper. So we're trying to do that. We're really, really bad. So I'll keep y'all posted.
That's awesome. Makes sense. You got a lot of sun there.
Got a lot of sun. Yeah. Exactly. I don't have any snow. Let's talk. I'm really tired of stuff. This timeline. First of all, this timeline sucks. I'm really tired of this timeline. It's exhausting. And this is one of the many reasons why it's exhausting to me is the supply chain issues. It's exhausting. So for those of you who aren't, again, keeping up, you're not going to be able to probably get you guys anyway, you being the White Roof Radio listener, you being the Mini Cooper enthusiast, you being the loudest screamers of they're ruining the brand, are going to, not be able to get the Mini that you actually want. Probably for the rest of the year.
Let's break it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please.
So
My boat
let's
is
start with the
stuck in
headline.
port.
And this is the thing that freaks people out. Mini is killing the manual.
Briefly.
Stop. No. Full stop.
Yeah. Okay.
With
They're
no
killing a lot of things. Don't even stop
With
at the
no
manual.
hope.
We just bring it
Yeah,
all.
But that's the most
Nothing
important.
More, nothing cuts to the soul of the brand for a lot of people in the manual.
Right.
And so they're not saying it's coming back. Of course, I
No,
think
because
it
they
will.
can't. They don't know.
Exactly. I think it will, and they think it will too, but they don't know because they have made a decision to focus on the parts that they know they can stock and really sort of circle the wagons, if you will, around the configurations that most people want globally.
And so let's go back to the reason why they're killing this. And it goes back to a story, Gabe, that you posted on Motoring File more than a month ago now, was that the war in the Ukraine is causing the supply of the wiring harness, specific wiring harnesses anyway, which are built in Ukraine for these cars, are becoming unavailable because, of course,
Can I add a little bit to that, Todd? Because
Sure.
I've learned something from BMW that is shocking.
Sure.
So this factory it's a company that is in Europe. They have several factories. One of the major one for the harnesses is in Western Ukraine. They are still, believe it or not, guys,
Right.
they're still going to work.
Yeah.
They're still, these people in a country that is at war right now, being invaded, they are still every day with their lunchbox in hand going to work because they want normal life, and they are still trying to do their job, which they're not doing it for BMW or Mini, they're doing it for their own sanity, I'm sure, and their paycheck.
Yeah, sure.
But
absolutely.
But I mean, it is really, I mean, I know we bemoan the lack of these things, which it does suck, but man, first world problems, right? I mean, these guys are, who knows what's going to happen in a month or two, but they're still going to work. And
right.
So,
this is
cool.
this is by no means a decision. And I think a lot of people read a headline and they start drawing conclusions without knowing the reality behind it. This is not a decision that Mini or BMW made out of like, oh, well, this is an opportunity to kill the manual transmissions, which we kind of all
to ruin the brand. Or
right.
anything,
It's not that at all. This is completely out of their control. Yeah. And so what's happened here is they've streamlined a lot to go. There's different wiring harnesses for different options on the car, and one of the wiring harnesses is a manual transmission, one that controls the manual transmission. Another version or another reason that wiring harness streamlining is, or at least another outcome of this, is going to be every car this year is going to have a sunroof. There won't be a sunroof delete option for the foreseeable future because of this. And that's another thing that people kind of haven't talked about. Not to mention the third thing, which is already evident, but it's kind of flown under the radar, is that the classic edition, the classic package of this is unavailable on all models now. It is because the classic has no sunroof. So they're trying to streamline it down to like one or two wiring harnesses.
I don't understand. So I would think they could use a wiring harness for a car for a sunroof in a car that doesn't have a sunroof, because it's just a plug, right? It's something else that plugs in, and it's just got a dummy plug on the end of it until they take the dummy plug off and plug it into the motor for the sunroof.
You would think.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
That might be an ECU issue then.
Yeah. I don't know much, but I do know that this shit's complex. And
yes.
I suspect that the level of complexity involving inventory and manufacturing just makes it difficult. But I mean, here's the other thing. I mean, a year ago we were talking about the Oxford edition,
right?
A car that was $20,000, and that's gone. I mean, that'll never come back.
So your only option now are the Iconic, and what's the middle range? There's 3.
Light? I can't remember.
There's the classic, the iconic, and somebody. I mean, oh my gosh, I've had too little sleep lately to tell you. But
I'm trying to get there. I don't remember either. I'm really bad too.
Only 2 versions.
Signature and the iconic. That's all you can get now.
Signature and iconic, and everything's going to come with the sunroof as another option. So, and also potentially you can kind of draw into this. It's going to reduce the number of cars because, as Gabe said, Mini's doing their best to make as many as they can for the widest number of people they can. Okay. Yeah. Now, it's going to end up killing the number of cars they make this year by, my guess is 15 to 20%. And that's terrible. That's because there's plenty of demand for these cars. They just can't provide them.
And you know, the thing is, BMW is actually more than most has done well in this current atmosphere. But they've done well financially because they've shifted their focus on higher end cars that make them more profit.
Yep.
And so okay, great. Well, one of the questions you might have is, well, why don't they do that all the time? You know, if they're just about profit. Well, BMW's not a stupid company. I mean, they recognize that they need brands like Mini and they need products like Minis and even smaller BMWs because they want to bring people into the family and
move up.
And get them comfortable and make them happy, and then allow them, you know, sort of offer them as they want to move up into different vehicles, offer them different vehicles. So, you know, it's not ideal, but they are focusing on profit so they can hit their numbers. Everybody wants to hit their numbers.
Right. And when you think about it, it's working. It worked on me personally.
Yeah.
I started up in 2003, you know, with the Cooper S, not all the options. And now I've worked up to the most expensive Mini you can. Well, I would say the second most expensive. I think the convertible.
It's pretty close.
I think the convertible can outdo the Countryman if you really load the crap out.
I think the Clubman actually can too. I'm building
the
Clubman right now.
No, the Clubman's mess. But so anyway, I'm living proof that the plan is working.
Yeah.
It's worked on
I
me.
always liked it, Todd. I always like to just phrase this. These car makers know me better than me.
Well, and it's for me though, as a person, like I'm all about marketing and advertising, and my wife works in Mark. She's got a master's degree in marketing communications now, so we know when we're being marketing, you know, when we're being marketed to, and I accept that because I'm like, this is what I want. It's okay. I'm buying into it. So this is one of those cases for me is like, it's been an aspirational thing to move up to this point. And it's like, I'm happy to be here. But now where do I go from here? Because I don't want to go to a BMW. So I'm kind of stuck. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Well, and I think there's a lot of people though, Todd, that feel the same way. I mean, there's a certain vibe that you get with a Mini. And I mean, I have BMWs and I love that brand, but I totally respect the fact that there's people who just love Minis that don't want to move into that brand. And so where do you go?
Yeah.
Is there a bigger Mini or a more high-end Mini that you can move into? What if there was?
Well, I think electric is the next, like DB said, is, you know what? I think electric is the next the next frontier, if you will.
You're missing my hint.
Yeah,
I got your hint. That's a topic for another story, for another show.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, you know, back in 2003, they used to make one harness for everything, and you could retrofit all of these cars.
Oh, that's right.
You know,
thanks.
You wanted a 2003 Mini Cooper S, and you wanted the alarm system later on. It was already pre-wired.
You just plug it in.
Why not make one harness for everything? Sunroof, no sunroof, whatever. Like,
well, Chad, that was back when the British.
That hard.
That was back when the British were the ones who designed the things, and kind of BMW were just kind of like sweeping up the scraps there and taking what it was. Now it's completely BMW from the ground up. And Germany and the German engineers, I want to say, like we like to say, we've watched them eat sandwiches with a knife and fork.
You know what? That's all fine and dandy, but why can't it happen?
I think
they already know that war is happening. Yeah, they already know these things. Just make one harness for all. One ring for them all. You know,
the amount of I mean, these cycles are 7 years. You know, and in Mini's case, 10 years these days. So, I mean, the amount of engineering. So right now, if you were to say, let's do that, you'd be planning not for the next generation, which
3
is
to 5 years out,
for the next generation, which is 2033.
Right.
So like, that's what you'd be aiming for. So, I mean, Chad, you're right. Like, had they somehow had the foresight to think this is going to happen in 2022, they were like, hey, let's make one harness. That would
and you got to admit,
like $10 a harness.
Regardless of foresight, I mean, yeah, you want to try to think about, let's figure out the future of X, Y, and Z. Every business, small, big, large, $1 million corporations, they get thrown with curveballs every day.
Well, they do, Chad, but then also
pandemic, throws in there.
But what we don't see is that they're weighing the options of saying, yes, well, we could like get all of our engineers into a room and redesign this. What is that cost going to be versus how much are we going to lose if we go this route and serve as many of our customers as we can with the existing what we've got available? And I think that's what they're doing, is weighing those options, going, well, it would cost, like, Chad, what you said is completely possible. Like, you're not wrong. It's completely possible and completely viable, but it's going to cost X amount of money. It's going to save this much amount of money to just do this instead.
It's always going to cost money in some aspects, but if you're looking at say, hey, we make one harness, or we make this harness, or we make that harness, it comes down to the fact of, we're going to sell cars or we're not going to sell cars. Because I'm actually in the point right now where if you have an R53 and you say, I need an axle, I'm like, you don't have an option. This is the only axle we can get.
Right.
There's no other axles in the country. This is it. Well, I want something cheaper. No, that's fine.
That's it.
This is the only axle you can get. And
why don't you build yourself a foundry and become a blacksmith?
Start making rubber and make a bearing.
Let's start with that rubber tree.
Exactly. So it is getting to the point in the aftermarket that you're only getting, this is the only option you can get, and this is the only one in the country I can get. And when this one is gone, you don't have an option anymore. To me, it's getting to that point. So
and you also have to weigh the fact that, Gabe, how much longer do we have for the current F-56 generation?
Yeah.
It's only a couple more years before everything's changing anyway.
It's a good question. I was just thinking that. I mean, the next Countryman, which may or may not be bigger, is actually
it's definitely going to be bigger, Gabe.
Is actually going to be, I think the public debut is last half of next year.
Of 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 18 months. Yeah. We're going to have the new car.
So Chad, that's another reason. That's another reason why they're
just
not
limping along.
Because they're like, we're going to get through the next 18 months and the best we can. Yeah. Because why throw money at something that's already end of life, that we see the end of life of it? Yeah, like I get it, and I think the return is just not there to go, you know what? This house is going to be torn down in 18 months. Why am I going to put $100,000 into a new kitchen?
Right.
Well, I remember Gabe telling us, eons ago, that it's like, all of these chip shortages are going to be, done by third quarter. Here we are,
new problem.
Second quarter of the next year.
Yeah, but new problems.
Those cars are still sitting on the lots waiting for those chips.
Yeah.
So when does that next design come out? Because we want these other things.
Well, and I mean,
again, I don't have all these answers, but like, there are still major supply chain issues that are going to affect even the next generation of the next generation coming out.
So what I was talking about was, I in my day job, I work with some automotive in the automotive space at times, and I mean, the forecast was essentially Q2 things were going to start, using air quotes here, and normalize, but of course that was before what has happened in the Ukraine, which is awful, and I think that that aside, I think the ripple effect of what we've seen over the past 2 years, beyond all the human toll, which is, I mean, I don't want to overstate, or understate. It was horrible, but the ripple effect of disruption of our society and how it has changed, the availability of products we just assumed could always be available. We're still figuring that out. We're still seeing new effects of that, and I think that it's what's interesting. I mean, you and I, we would have never predicted 3 years ago that we'd be talking about.
Never.
We all celebrated the concept of just-in-time manufacturing for the past 20 years.
Right.
We have, and I say we meaning like
and it
society.
Worked. It did.
It worked perfectly, and it still does, but they've had to ratchet down. I mean, you think about back in the day when we would listen to Vinnie Kung, who is the former product manager of Mini USA, talk about, statistically, there's almost an infinite number of possibilities in terms of ordering a Mini. Well, I mean, that was a time when you could do that. Today, that is simply not possible.
Right.
And
you have to.
Unfortunately, that's a hallmark of the brand. Whereas if you look at VW, that was never a hallmark of the brand. I mean, you could really only order so many things, and so it affects different brands in different ways. Unfortunately, for Mini, it kind of hits at the heart of the brand.
Yeah.
Well, I've had some insider knowledge to the Volkswagen brand as well, and they're also experiencing the same things that Mini is with harnesses and stuff like that. And, thank God we're not trying to buy another Volkswagen right now, because, they're also having the exact same wiring harness issues that Mini is. Short and sweet, but these things are not going to solve themselves quickly.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a long time for some of these things to bring themselves back to where we thought we would be,
Well, and Gabe, like you said, it's the just-in-time nature that we've come, all of us in business have become so accustomed to, in that you can make a decision and get something with overnight delivery in 24 to 48 hours. And now that's no longer possible. I don't care what industry you're in. My industry, I used to be able to just go, oh, somebody calls and says, I need this quirky color. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll call and order it. I'll have it tomorrow. No, it's going to be 3 months from now before I get that. Yeah. So you have to think, one, you have to think a lot farther in the future than you used to. Two, you have to spend a lot more on inventory, because you're like, I can't count on this being there when I need it. So I've got to spend the money to stock it in my company, in whatever X company. And that's for me personally too. So these things are all causing... It's also one of the things that's helping inflation, if you will. That's really adding to inflation.
Totally.
Because you've got to charge more money, because you're like, wait a minute, I spent the last 20 years doing business where I didn't have to stock that much inventory. Now I've got all of this money, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in inventory sitting here just in case. Right.
So I think it's actually, I mean, I totally agree, and I think it's a sad state, and and you can't help, and I can't help but bring it back to, like, these are first world problems. Like, let's caveat that, because what I'm about to say is a true first world problem. But I mean, I know somebody who who'd ordered a Porsche, I think it was like 5 months ago, and it was scheduled to be delivered in I think now, roughly. He was told, I think, a month and a half ago, oh no, it's not going to be April, it's going to be next November.
Oh my gosh.
And
wow.
And so, like,
we've had a lot of Mini customers that I've heard locally. There's like, I ordered it 3-4 weeks ago and it's due in 2023.
I had a friend
6-7 months.
Yeah. I had a friend who was like super put off by the fact that they were like, Clubman's going to be October. Yeah. And I told him, like,
this isn't new.
That seems crazy. And I looked into it. I'm like, no, that seems right.
I ordered my car in July. I ordered my car in July and got it in December. So it's not unheard of, once again, to order a Mini and wait 5-6 months, depending on what model it is. It's not like you can go into a dealer. My dealer here in Kansas City just sold their last new car yesterday. They have nothing, literally nothing on the lot. Yep. Now they've got a few more in the chain coming. It's going to, quite a few this month, but it's like just when things seem like they're getting better, something new comes, some new tragedy, if you will. And I'm meaning that literally. The war in Ukraine is the tragedy that's happened here. It was COVID before. Now it's a war. And everybody's kind of caught with their pants down because we're so used to the just in time, like, oh, I want a car. Well, I'm just going to go to the car dealer and I'll buy one. Well, It's not just minis. Nobody has cars.
Nobody has cars.
I think
nobody.
We've talked about this. We talked about this in previous shows. It does allow many, and dealers specifically, to sell cars at list, no discount,
right,
and get a real margin. And I say this with an eye towards dealers, because listen, salespeople have families. They want to make money. They want to make a living. I think it's very fair. And so when you think about, okay, so list is list. It's kind of a nice situation for these dealers and these salespeople to be able to know that that's just going to be a reality. For Mini USA to say, great, we can just say this is the price. There's no haggling. Our customers feel like there's no stress there. There's been lots of studies that show that people actually prefer to know that there's no discount. That's just the price, and they can just walk in and not worry. And so, to some degree, I think a lot of people at Mini USA and dealers are looking at this and saying, listen, this is an awful situation in a lot of reasons. But man, wouldn't it be great if this did change the culture of buying in the United States?
It's a giant reset button.
For one, the price is the price, which I think is in a way more healthy relationship with cars and dealers. And two, if you want a car, you order the car. And maybe it's on the lot, but most likely if you want a car, you have to order it. But that gives you an opportunity to order what you want. And oh, by the way, it also gets you a little bit more connected to the brand. As you start to order a car, you start to think about what you want. You start to consider things, and suddenly you're waiting for the car, and you're sort of pining for that moment that it arrives. And next thing you know, you love the brand. And I think that's something that we all loved about the early days of Mini, and it's something that's back.
Yeah. I will say that a lot of dealers around here are, if you want something immediate right away because you have to have a car, they're going, $8, $9, $10, $1,000 above sticker price just to say.
That's supply and demand, man. That's what it is. But I think here's my overarching wisdom of looking at this, of going, Gabe, like you said, the salespeople want to support a family. They've got a job. All of these people down the line want to make a living, want to make a decent living. And we've become so accustomed to getting discounts on things, buying things on sale, and buying things at super sale. And, I know so-and-so got $5,000 off of X or whatever. And the reality is, this is a wake-up call for all of us to realize that things cost. There is a cost to everything. Yeah, we have to look at that and go, what is the value of things? So one, you have to put a value on it, and what is it worth to you? And realize that, if you go buy a fast food meal and it only costs you $1.99, there's no real food there. Nobody's making any money. Nobody's making a living off of that. Nobody should be doing that. That should not be possible. Mm-hmm. You should pay good money for things. Don't complain when your lunch is $15 or $20 or $30. You're getting real things made by people.
Right, real people.
Real people. Well, food grown by farmers and all of that. You got to think about everything. And it's the same with cars. All of these people down the line, things are more expensive. And now we've got to kind of reset our brains to go, oh, I don't need to walk into a car dealership with my wang hanging out going, I want $5,000 off or I'm walking. People don't do that anymore because they laugh at you at the dealer if you try and do that.
Right. If you think about it, though, those dealers are only selling 3 or 4 cars a month. And that one guy has to make all of his quote unquote commission off of those couple of cars. Yeah. So if you were making 30, 40 cars a month, you could give those discounts.
Right.
Now you only have 4 or 5 cars a month to actually sell, and that guy still has to make the exact same amount of money to support his family.
But my economic question, Gabe, and this kind of rides along with what you're saying, is if this is a giant reset, are we going to get to the point now where supply chains finally get back to where they were and competition comes back into play? And when competition comes into play, that's when pricing starts to go down on a lot of things, because it's like, oh, I need to outsell the Chevy dealer. I need to outsell the Volvo dealer down the street.
Yeah,
I need to outsell the
how long
Audi
is that?
dealer.
But how long is that going to take?
I don't know. And I don't know if it's going to happen, DB. That's the question. Is like, are we going to get there again?
What I would love, and I don't know if it's possible, but I would love for some enterprising sort of small mid-size machining company in Kansas or Topeka. Wait, is Topeka in Kansas?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's the capital of
It is.
Oh, it's Kansas City. How's that?
There you go.
But my point is, like, these companies basically, all right, listen, we're just gonna 3D scan these parts for these cars, and we're gonna make them.
Yeah.
And sure, we'll charge 15% more or whatever because we were making them, but we're gonna reproduce this shit.
But you know what? You can't with that stuff, Gabe, because IP comes into play and there's copyright, and even on car parts, even on wiring harnesses, people cannot rebuild. Sure. They can't reinvent a wiring harness until it goes into NOS status, which is like 20. It's like 25. That's like 25 years for the automobile industry.
To even say this,
but I know what you're saying, and I really like the sound of that. But
let's change some copyright laws then when it comes to parts like that.
Yeah.
Let's push things. Yeah, okay, so the part's 10 years old, done.
Right.
Open source.
If it's no longer being produced OEM, right? It becomes open source. Right. And I think that's the thing DB we run into.
Yeah, that's the rules now, but that doesn't do us any good because Chad can't get a part for a car because
guess what? Guess what? It is open source, guys.
Tons of parts I can't get, but in the end, there will have to be some type of supply and chain, and the automotive manufacturers are going to say, "Oh, you can supply this. We'll help you out." And that guy who is making it in his garage with some 3D printer or whatever
is now on the official vendor list for BMW and Ford and Volkswagen.
He will start cranking out and figure out how to make these things happen.
But I think, guess where it is open source? Guess where it is? China.
Craving speed.
There are other places. There are other places that just they
don't care about our Yankee Western laws, Gabe.
Yeah, but and I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but I will say there's a clear benefit to having common sense, if you will. I hate that phrase in some respects, but
nobody has it.
Common sense thinking around how we can sort of solve some of these issues. But
I'm gonna finish this up because we're starting to get long. I'm gonna finish this off here I'm just gonna tell you how to do this. If you gotta have a Mini Cooper today that's got a manual transmission, just shut up. Just go to Auto Trader, enter 2004 to 2006. And I'm looking right now at a 2006 Mini Cooper S. It's Indy blue with a white top and a sunroof. It's got 16-inch wheels. I don't mind that. I think that's pretty dope. It's got lapis blue interior, and it's 10 grand, 100,000 miles. Boom. There's your Mini with a manual transmission. Fixed it.
Wait, how many miles?
Only 107. Yeah, 107.
What year?
2006.
Wait, does it have LSD?
No, I don't think so. No, it's got 16s. It's got 16.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Still
the LSD is super rare.
Yeah,
dude. In Arizona, I'm surprised. First of all, I'm surprised it actually has a manual transmission. But no, I would doubt this actually has LSD. No, I'd have to run the VIN, and I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
Don't forget the used market. I mean, remember, I bought my car used, and I got I paid $16,000 for a 2016 with 60,000 miles. I think that was bad. No problem there.
Can I send it? Oh, I have to go through the Slack.
Yeah, do the Slack.
Things don't go my way.
You're just gonna break down and buy another Porsche.
No, I'm gonna buy this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Yeah.
Oh,
41,000 miles.
Really, a Kia?
Yeah. But it's for charity.
No, for
so
anybody,
it's okay.
for those playing at home, it's a 41,000 mile 2006 Mini Cooper S, 6-speed with LSD. And it's for charity.
And it's for charity.
And it's blue.
What's the crazy money on it right now? What is
for
it?
the kids.
It's for the kids. Okay,
3,500 with 7 days to go. So it's gonna be like 20 grand.
Yeah. The LSD. I don't think the LSD is gonna push it that far. Do you think?
No.
Well, check back.
41,000 miles is gonna push.
Right, rear seats removed is gonna freak out the idiots.
Yeah.
But he's including the. I mean, that's super easy to just pop back in.
Yeah, they're right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to go 20. I'm going to call it right now, and I'll keep an eye on this one. But I think
that's everything I want. That car is everything.
It's going to go for.
Except that you know what? 15. No, screw it. It doesn't have the anthracite headliner. I'm out.
Yeah. You got to have the anthracite headliner.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's your breaking point.
You're not a farmer.
Whoever spec that car was like. I mean,
they didn't get the anthracite dash.
They actually are, but
they didn't get the anthracite dash either. And you got to have the. I mean,
that's anthracite dash.
So, Gabe, can I say it's a
regular silver dash?
It's a 16-year-old car. The headliner's going to start falling on its own.
That's true. You know what, Todd? You know what the first thing I ever did to a car was, the old spray adhesive headliner trick.
Yeah.
I did that.
That's actually what car? I can't remember. It was actually not my car. I think it was my buddy's car. I'm like, I heard you could do that.
Because the fabric starts coming off.
Yeah, you poke a hole in it, you spray adhesive, you just spray in there, and you just hold it up for about 3 minutes and hope for the best.
Redneck engineering at its finest.
I actually spray painted the dash and the headliner in my El Camino to change the color. I didn't do that little cool trick, although I probably should have. But I just spray painted. I wanted them black, and I forgot what color they were, so I spray painted them black. They're special, like fabric paint. I did the dash and the thing. It'll turn out. Bitch, it looks so sharp.
The things we do.
Don't put this link out on the show because I don't want to drive up the bid. I want to buy this car.
But it doesn't have anthracite headliner, Gabe. I mean, come on.
Well, now that you guys are talking, I feel like I can just make it happen.
You know what does have LSD in an anthracite headliner? A GP1.
Yeah, but it doesn't have rear seats.
No, it
doesn't. That's true. It doesn't have rear seats.
Who needs rear seats?
Yeah, in this car, Gabe, you don't need rear seats.
I got kids all over the place, man.
Yeah, that's true.
That's your fault.
He's got kids he doesn't even know about yet.
That's your fault.
No, that's not. I know all about it. Come on.
That's by choice.
Wow. Perfect. And just like that, I think we're going to be done. I wanted to talk about Cooper bikes. We'll do that another time. Anybody in England who happens to get your hand on a Cooper bike, electric bike, please let me know. feedback@whiteroofradio.com. I really want to hear how that is riding one of those bikes up. That'd be really dope. Because we're not going to get them in the United States because reasons. Whatever. Fine. It's fine.
It's a different DB. They're electric.
It's a whole ocean.
We're just gonna claim it's the different electricity. It's the reason.
Right.
Yeah,
they're on AC, and we're on DC.
Yeah, so they're all
adapter
AC
plug.
Yeah, they're AC motors, and the batteries are, it's not like the batteries are different. Yeah, I get, and also they're the other side of the road drive. So I mean, all the brakes
and
are
their toilets go backwards. Ours go the wait no.
No. That's Australia.
That's different.
Yeah, that's a different thing. So that's fine. But if you get to ride one of these Cooper electric bikes, let me know how it goes. feedback@radio.com, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I think we're done. Did anybody have anything else we wanted to talk about? Throw at the wall, see if it sticks, anything like that?
No, other than to reiterate,
we're not talking about the
listening. Wants to see something from Nürburgring. Wants a certain kind of coverage. Would love to hear it.
And I'll make sure this gets posted on motoringfile.com. Leave a note in the comments, please, if you want anything. Maybe we'll get Gabe to fire up a Twitch account, so you just like constant streaming or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Make it really cool for you guys. That'd be pretty rad. I have a lot of questions already, so I'm going to send those over. I'll be the first comment on the post. Perfect. Okay. I think we're done. Great. We're done. So just a part of the show where I'm just going to do business really quick. It's not a lot of business, but you guys are still helping us stay listener supported, which is super duper rad. And I love that. And I thank you for that. And all of you guys that are clicking over to blackroofradio.com, kicking a couple bucks here and there. Super duper cool. I want to remind you, though, if you go over to blackroofradio.com, you can actually download Black Roof Radio free of charge. You don't need to pay. You can just like go, oh, here it is. And then you got to download it, though. And that's a pain in the ass. And I'm still working on finding a way so you guys don't actually have to download it. You get it automatically. But for right now, you got to do just a little bit of work. I got to post it on Twitter. Just follow the Twitter account. And it shows right up. And you just go over and download it. Free. It's rad. Check that out. If you need something for your Mini, like we were talking about stuff, whatever, you're just going to go over to DetroitTune.com. Number one, if Chad's got it, he's going to sell it to you if he's got it in stock. Or you're going to go over to Out Motoring for the stuff that Chad doesn't carry. Or if you want something really cool and custom, you're going to go to Craven Speed still, right? Just making sure that's where you guys are going. And then, of course, for the love of all things good and holy, please stop on the Facebook sharing links that aren't to motoringfile.com or that aren't to motoringstripes.com for your MTTS graphics. Oh my God, these people that are making graphics in the garages are horrible.
Brutal.
Or on Amazon, so bad. And this stuff's going to like wash off with the first car wash, the first time it rains. It's going to go away. Nobody wants that.
It might pull the paint off. No one wants it.
It might pull the paint off. Nobody wants that. No, nobody wants that. No, we want quality. This is a quality car. We want quality stuff on our car. We want quality graphics. That's why we don't buy stickers. No. We don't put stickers on our car. We put decals on our car. Custom made from high quality vinyl from our boy Todd over at motoringstripes.com. Just go over to motoringstripes.com and just get your stuff. And tell everybody on Facebook too, won't you? Okay, I'm done. That's why I don't go on Facebook. Honestly, it's between the MTTS 2020 group and that's really it right now. No, I just can't. I just can't with you people. But it's cute. Anyway, that's it. That's all I had. Anybody? One more time. Last chance. Perfect. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for hanging around and having patience while I was busy getting married in April. We really do appreciate that. So anyway, we'll be back on track here, just like we like. But this is the time of the show where I like to make that funny clicking sound, and then I say... questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead, click back over to whiteroofradio.com. Hopefully by the time you hear this, you'll be able to leave a note in the show notes. You can also email us feedback at whiteroofradio.com. But until next time, gang, this is DB. I'm done.
Cheers.
See you.
Peace.
Gabe's working on the Johnny Cash voice.
That was rough. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a work in progress.